Good morning, everybody, and thank you again for joining us for our webinar this morning, What's Ahead for Agency IT in 2017. So without further ado, let's get started. So what does a 2017 agency look like? We see them as leveraging automation to better serve the customer. That's what it's all about, right, is the customer. But leading agencies are doing what they can automation-wise purposefully, not just because they need this or that. There's a lot of planning that goes into what's going to make most sense for us to make sure that we can do what we can for our customers. So we see the agency in 2017 being cloud-based. Now, whether that's fully or partial, whether you know it or not, your agency probably is cloud-based somewhat, even if you haven't made the full move to the cloud. But being cloud-based is really going to help you with making your work environment much more flexible. It gives you the ability to, move around this or that, and just do that much more. Able to offer advanced automation. So utilizing extra services like email encryption, eSignatures, large file management, just to name a few. I'm going to go into some more details. And then utilizing leading edge equipment to make for a more productive staff. So I'll give you some specific tips on what some of that will be. So getting into benefits of the cloud. Some of you may have already heard these types of things, but I want to, review and give some points just to make sure that all the right thought is being put into these things. Everybody's got a different message for the cloud these days, and we'll tell you what we've seen work best for agencies and what you're getting out of it. So one, and probably the most natural, is the ability to work from anywhere on almost anything. So the right cloud solution is going to let you work from just about anywhere you need to work from, whether it be the main office, a remote office, your home office, or relatives, a hotel business center, or even a library. So the right cloud solution should let you go anywhere. And also work from anything, whether that be a multi-monitor computer up to 2, 3, 4 monitors. We've heard of some cloud solutions that only work with 2. But we've seen leading agencies using triple monitors now for a lot of their staff. Down to laptops, tablets, and even smartphones, Macs, whatever you can think of. Most cloud solutions, at least leading cloud solutions, will let you do all those. They do make it easier to keep your software consistent and up to date. That's a big challenge we see agencies face is different versions of this software or that. Very often we see different versions of Office, different versions of Adobe, PDF, and that can cause lots of challenges for the agency. So cloud solutions will usually help you keep your software more consistent and up to date very easily. They're usually powered by very redundant systems on the back end and protected by robust backup systems. The ones that we leverage are doing backups every hour. So you can restore basically any file from any point in time back to an hour. There are a lot of agency needs for the cloud too that we want to make sure that you have covered. If your agency's in the cloud and you don't have some of these things, there's still very strong considerations. One of those is being semi-current workstations. I don't say new computers, because most of the time a good cloud solution is going to make it so you don't have to have the newest computers. But do keep in mind that if you've got old computers that are freezing up all the time, chances are those old computers are going to still freeze up, and that's going to make it seem like the cloud is freezing when they're having the problems. So you need workstations in good working condition. Reliable networking hardware. So if you're going to work wireless, you just need a good, strong wireless system. Even more important, if you're going to work wired, you need a good, strong wired system. Wired is still the preferred way to go over wireless, not from only a speed point of view, but reliability. So a good, reliable networking hardware. It does need to be replaced from time to time, which I'll touch on. Quality power protection is a big one too. Just because you don't have your own servers doesn't mean that you still need all of your pieces of the network powered on to be able to fully function. And that leads right into making sure we have a very nice, robust, enterprise-grade internet connection. And I say enterprise-grade to be specific because we don't want to have our whole business riding on a consumer grade $49.95 a month internet connection. That's a lot, really relying on a connection that's not meant to be 100% stable. The best internet connections are going to be fiber-based. So they're going to be a business type of solution that's going to be fiber-based. You get the best uptime with that. Generally, the uptime you're guaranteed is 99.99%, which is great. If you do the math, though, that still means you're going to be down a minute or so a day. So just bear in mind what even the best internet connections bring. They don't guarantee 100% uptime. Because of that, we do want to make sure that any agencies in the cloud also have redundant internet connections. It's important that your backup internet connection be a dissimilar type of a connection. So for example, if your primary is a nice enterprise-grade fiber, a cable modem might be a good backup connection. You just want to make sure the backup connection is a different type of media. Because if the phone lines go down or the fiber lines go down, you don't want two of those, because chances are they would both go down at once. Keep in mind, when you do have a backup internet connection, if your primary one does fail over and you start working on your backup, you usually experience a brief disconnect, but then you're able to get connected right away. So it does help keeping the staff in and productive. So let's talk about some advanced automation offerings we're seeing that the 27 agency is adopting. First being intelligent phone systems. A phone system is often the oldest piece of equipment that we see at the agency, but if you think about it, next to the computers, that's our second most important tool when it comes to dealing with our customers and conducting business on a day-to-day basis. So I would strongly encourage all the agencies out there that can't remember when you got your phone system to think about this for the near future plans of getting an intelligent phone system. They can often utilize new technologies like VoIP, but still use your traditional phone lines as well if that's what you have. There are a lot of different features out there. We want to make sure everybody understands that these things have so many features. It can kind of seem overwhelming sometimes. Some of them are difficult to even figure out what features this system may or may not have. We like to see the systems that are full featured without having to buy lots of extras. Some are like that and some aren't. Ease of use is obviously a big one. Most intelligent phone systems are super high tech and offer 100 different features, but when it comes down to it, we still want to make sure we have a system that's easy to use. Most, as you can see in the picture here, have fancy looking handsets with lots of buttons, but when it comes down to it, they're still phones. And even better, a lot of them have computer-based systems. And often the computer-based system is even easier to deal with call transferring and management than the phones are. So no need for that big side panel anymore with 80 buttons to transfer calls. So easy to use is a big one. And then flexibility. How long does it take to flip the system into holiday mode or to forward phones onto someone? We like to see systems that just with a touch or two, you can have phones forwarded to a cell phone or different people or remote offices. So the system that we recommend as far as intelligent phone systems go is Digium's SwitchVox system. That's SwitchVox. Our next advanced automation offering for 2017 we see is email encryption. Some of you may know what email encryption is already, but as a review again, it's basically a way to scramble emails when they're being sent and then have them unscrambled on the other side, so when they're going across the web, they're secured. Now, there are some rules and regulations that actually require that emails be encrypted if they contain PHI, or protected health information. So if you're dealing with life and health, you already need to be using email encryption. And if you're not, I've got a few things for you here to teach you what you need. So there are different types of email encryption solutions. Some are built right into Outlook. Some are actually built onto the email server. And some actually sit in your network, so they act as a pass-through for anything that you send. And even beyond that, some are actually online-based, where they'll automatically happen as emails just pass back and forth. Of those different types of systems, you'll find that some are smart. Well, they'll just try to figure out what emails should be encrypted. They can do things like pick out a social security number or pick out certain pieces of information together, like account number and date of birth in the same email. It'll just decide if those things need to be encrypted based on certain sets of rules. Other ones let you manually encrypt. That's a good thing and a bad thing, because sometimes users don't realize they need to encrypt. But it does offer you that extra flexibility. Some systems do both. Benefits are obviously, protecting yourself from the current rules and regulations. HIPAA and high-tech in particular. High-tech does require, again, that any agencies dealing with life and health, any protected health information, which is basically personal info or incident-related info, be encrypted. That's not to say there aren't some challenges behind email encryption. I find it ironic that most agencies nowadays say that emails have to be protected. But what we've also seen is that then if you go ahead and send a carrier an encrypted email, oftentimes they will, complain or push back a little bit, saying, "Hey, what is this thing? Why are you making us open encrypted emails? We said you need to do it, but we don't want to." So leading carriers will also support email encryption, but you'll often be able to tune your solution to work with carriers also that don't want encryption. So it sounds funny, but that is a real world challenge we see agencies facing now, is carriers saying you need to do it, but not actually wanting to do it with you. Also, a side note here, that there is a lot of talk in the agency world about a solution called Citrix ShareFile. Just want to take note that Citrix ShareFile is not an email encryption solution. We hear them starting to market it as such, but it's not actually an email encryption solution. So we recommend that you don't use ShareFile if you're trying to do encrypted email. What we do recommend is a solution based on Zix. So Zix is the leader in email encryption in the agency world. They were first adopted by Blue Cross several years ago now. They have solutions that do cover all the different ranges that I spoke of: Outlook, server-based, network-based, and hosted. So finding the right Zix-based solution for your agency should be fairly easy. The next is email archiving. We feel that agencies nowadays have lots of reasons to archive emails. And my first reason here for archiving emails is for everyone to understand that backups are not email archives. We're often asked by agencies to please retrieve a backup that Sue received from someone 7 months ago. And oftentimes with that kind of request, we're forced to say, unfortunately, that can't be found. Reason being is because most backup systems, don't keep every backup, every file for every hour when you get that old. But even more so, backup systems run on a schedule. Even if it's an hourly schedule, that means the email has to be sitting there for the span of the backup time to get backed up. For example, if our backups run every hour at the top of the hour, let's say we get a backup from a carrier at 12:24, and we delete that email at 12:25. The backup system didn't have an opportunity to get that email backed up. So again, for backups to be properly getting all emails, you need to not delete emails for as long as your backups take to run in between. That's where an email archiving solution gets its relevance, is that they take a capture of every email as they flow both in and out of the agency. So they're always getting all emails. They often feature powerful search and retrieval tools as well. The catch for having an email archiving system is you need to be able to retrieve your archives. So you want one that's going to be able to be easily searched and then yet easily retrieve those emails as well. The most time-consuming part of litigation when you're asked for emails is trying to actually get the lawyers the emails. And we've seen at times where this can rack up to the tens of hours to retrieve emails. But a good email archiving solution can make it much, much quicker and save the agency a lot of time and money. And you can often delegate access with these solutions too. Let's say you want everybody to be able to look at their own archives, maybe department managers or branch managers to be able to look at the people that they're over. And then you want a couple of select people to be able to see everybody's. Oftentimes with the right email archiving solution, you can do that and delegate that kind of access. So we recommend the My Agency Mail Defense archiving. It's an online hosted archiving, so it doesn't even take up space on one of your servers. Next is e-signatures. It's been a hot topic in agencies. It always seems to be talked on every other convention that I'm at as far as an agency goes. And, they obviously allow for just easier signing and returning of documents because you don't have to physically be there. And you can just transmit these things via email in the matter of a minute or two. They're often customizable as far as what message you have on there and even your branding, so you can make it look like it's an official agency thing rather than saying you're using Adobe's or eSign or whatever. It can actually look like it's your agency's. Just gives a more professional look and feel. And a key piece is they usually will offer an auditing system where you can see when the email was sent, when it was received, did the person even look at it? It tells you if they looked at it. Then when they've signed, it shows times and date stamps, when it was returned, and then confirmation of delivery. It's kind of like a UPS's tracking system on steroids almost. And typically with these systems, you can pay per user, so they're usually quite affordable. We recommend a solution called DocuSign. We've used it for quite some time now, and we've seen a lot of agencies use it with great success. So it's DocuSign for e-signatures. And how about large file management and sharing? This is needed because most email systems have a 25 megabyte size limit. This goes for most public email systems, so because of that, that's what most corporate email systems follow. So whether it be Hotmail, Yahoo, Google Mail, and then again, most corporate systems have a 25 meg limit. But oftentimes, especially when you're talking about commercial, we can be dealing with policies that are hundreds and hundreds of page PDFs that can be, well above 25 meg. So there are lots of file sharing services out there that are online based or cloud based. They'll often work for teams or just in an individual. They'll offer strong security controls. You always want to make sure you get a solution that's going to be highly encrypted. They offer typically unlimited file sizes for the business accounts, so you want to make sure you know what you're signing up for if you do have a file size limit. Not only file storage limit, but file size limit. Usually they'll let you send up to a gigabyte file, which most of us aren't dealing with files that big anyway. So we recommend Dropbox for Business. Again, not the free version of Dropbox, but Dropbox for Business. Reason being, again, is because of the file size limits with the free version. So now let's talk about some upgrades that we see the agencies considering in 2017 that are leaders out there in the field. So networking switches. Again, we mentioned earlier that the networking switches are usually one of the older pieces of equipment in the network, yet they're really the core or the backbone of our network. Whether we're still utilizing servers in-house or we're an agency that's operating in the cloud, everything goes through your switches. If you go in the back room and you see all the boxes with the lots of flashy lights and lots of cables plugged in, those are your switches. And if you don't know when the last time you got one replaced was, it might be time to consider that. All the cables plugged into that is basically everything in your network, and that's what lets it all talk, including just letting your computers pass through it and all connect to the internet. So your network switches are a very, very important piece of equipment to consider getting new ones. So new switches will have advanced capabilities, something called PoE. That stands for Power over Ethernet. Basically, it's a fancy thing that makes it so if you have something plugged into it on the other end, like a intelligent phone or even a wireless access point, you don't need power plugs. So it just saves from having unsightly power plugs hanging down a wall. You can have an access point mounted nice and clean. Or with phones, if you're getting an intelligent phone system, it just makes it so you have less clutter on the desks. Also, they are much faster than your current switch if you haven't gotten one in a long time. Most switches nowadays are 1,000 megabyte or a gigabyte, and some new ones even have 10,000 megabyte or 10 gigabyte ports on them. And they also carry typically a warranty that you can either continue or it's lifetime right out of the box. Because if we do have a switch failure, there's nothing more we want than a new switch ASAP. So power protection wise, very important that we make sure that the agency's got adequate power protection. First piece of that leading agencies are going with is a generator. Now, when we're talking generators, we're talking either a building or a portable. Building-based generators are going to be a better solution for agencies, typically because they are bigger, more stable units. Portable units are fine to get you by, but just a word of warning, most portable units, they don't provide very stable, clean power. It fluctuates a lot. So if you're looking at a building generator, you want to make sure that you've got one that's rated for technology and rated for a certain very tight band of clean power. For a portable generator, if you're going to hook up any kind of technology to it, you want to make sure you hook up actually battery backups to it too. So that's a battery backup or a UPS. We want to make sure always that all your servers and networking equipment are hooked up to your UPSs at minimum. But also consider your workstations. We at Smart here have UPSs on all of our workstations. We see lots of agencies doing that now as well. Whether it's actually letting you operate when you don't have power, or just keeping them on long enough while there's a power flicker. Even with a building generator, it's common for everything to flicker for a minute and shut off and come back on. And we know that can sometimes add 5-10 minutes to our boot up time in getting back to work. As far as PC upgrades go, agencies that are embracing the cloud are often able to go to something called a thin client, and I've got one pictured here. That's a cut-down terminal, kind of like a dummy terminal was back in the day, where they're just meant to work with cloud solutions. They're nice in the fact that they're often a lot less expensive than a full desktop PC. When it comes to desktop PCs, we want to make sure that we're seeing agencies go with mid to high-end machines. This is just going to make your staff that much more productive. Going with a $400 machine from Dell, that machine is going to work, but it's just not going to be as fast as it could be. And if you got something 10% faster for an extra few $100, think about that user using it being 10% more productive for a few years. Definitely outweighs the few $100 in added cost for a good computer. When you're talking about a hybrid machine, whether it be like a tablet convertible or just a full laptop, you're going to pay high-end dollars to get a mid-level hardware. So make sure that you're considering that right out of the box. The better laptops are always going to cost a lot more than an equivalent desktop. As far as recommendations go, for thin clients, we recommend HP thin clients. There's a lot of them out there, so we can always help you find good ones. We recommend Intel NUCs as far as desktops go. For laptops, we recommend Lenovo's laptops. They're the ThinkPad series. They actually took away the ThinkPad series in an acquisition from IBM some years ago. And then for the hybrids or convertibles, the Microsoft Surface computers. And also to note, you need to be getting your computers now with Windows 10. That's what's out there now. Microsoft has made it so you just can't buy old computers with Windows 7 or 8. So just want to be prepared for that. When it comes to servers, typical agencies are keeping their servers for 5 to 6 years. If it's a less expensive server, you're going to count on a little less than that. Newer servers are coming with Windows 2016, and the management systems are starting to support that. We're seeing them be now what's called more of a hyper-converged system, where it's not just a big box that just does one thing, and you have another box that does another thing. They're a set of servers that maybe work together to then support your management system, your email, and they're doing this all using virtualization. This, by the way, is the same technology that's behind most cloud solutions. So when you're in the cloud, you're often already on a hyper-converged system. So mobility-wise, leading agencies nowadays are either having policies on their phones where they're setting up and allowing BYOD, or bring your own device, or even considering company-provided phones now. It's important to make the decision at the agency which you're going to do and you're going to stick with it. BYOD can work, but there are certain considerations we want to make sure that you do at the agency. One of those is making sure you have a proper device policy in place. Are you just going to allow anyone to hook a phone to your wireless? If so, are you going to be restricting what they can do? Because I will tell you that most phones or other mobile devices, when you're hooked to wireless, even when you're not doing anything, you're using a lot of data. And instead of using their cellular data, now they're using your agency's internet bandwidth that you're paying for. So consider a BYOD policy that says this is what you can or can't do. Also, what happens to the phone if the person leaves or they are let go? Are you allowed to wipe it or not? If that phone has agency information on it, which it does if they had email, that should also be something to consider. Often, again, more easy to manage if you do have company-provided phones, but at least have a policy if you're going to let people use their own. We are starting to see agencies more and more use tablets for productivity. Used to be that they were just a big mobile phone, but there are some good keyboard and mouse solutions out there that are making it so you can use even an iPad or an Android tablet as a full solution. And the Microsoft Surface series of tablets, they've really grown over the years in power and capability. So you're often able to use those things now as a full machine, or at least on the go. And consider also something called mobile device management. So this is a solution that will let you, kind of like a computer vendor or like we do, can manage your computers. You can actually manage your cell phones. So do things like push configuration changes if you're going to allow email, or push security changes, restrict people from connecting to unsecure hotspots like at Starbucks, or even do things like help lock a phone or track a phone that was lost. So mobile device management solutions are a really cool new tool that we're starting to see agencies embrace. Just a quick note too, all the things that we discussed, us at Smart here, we can provide these different solutions for you. So please always consider us, at least if you have any questions. We're always happy to give advice and help agencies do what other leading agencies are doing in 2017. So we do thank you for joining us for this webinar. Hopefully you got a couple tips and tricks out of it, some brands of good solutions that we know will work great for your agency.